All right. Well, welcome back to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And I'm your host, Alanna.
And I'm Kelsey.
And for you guys, you regular listeners, we are back. Hope you had a good June.
Yeah.
And for everybody, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hope you had a good Pride Month, y'all. And we are happy to be back, but as we record it, it's like,
The middle of June.
not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was actually really good. I was glad that we decided to take a break, even though maybe I hadn't thought, like, oh, do we need to take one? But sometimes you don't stop to think, and sometimes you have a lot going on too. And I think it was really good, and there's a lot going on
Yeah.
with other stuff with podcasting. So it was like, whew, that was well timed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I yeah. I think it can be easy to not want to take a break and
Yeah.
keep
You
like
feel
going through.
obligated to your fans.
Yeah, but this is the longest break I think we've taken since we started. It's been like 3
Well,
years.
we took August off last month because I was traveling then just to visit,
Yeah.
right? So we took
Okay,
that
yes,
a
that's
month.
right.
And I'm
I think
hopefully
other
going to be
than
going to
that,
see
we've only
mom.
done a
Yeah.
few weeks. Maybe like 2
Yeah.
weeks at a time. Yeah.
I know I sometimes hear podcasters like, and then we had to record this and that and this. It's like, yes, but you can take a break too. Just so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got plenty of episodes if you haven't caught up on them all that you can go back and listen to.
Oh,
And
there's Patreon.
yeah, lots of Patreon content. So,
Yes, by this time we'll have released both of the documentaries that
yes.
we
Mhm.
reacted
Mhm.
to. May being the Twin Flames universe one and June. No, yes. Sorry. We recorded them in the one night, so I keep
Yeah,
second
like back to
guessing myself.
back and then it was like which one are we actually going to do release first?
No, it was I put out the Twin Flames one for
Yeah.
May. I think I put it out like June 1st, so sue me. But yes, and then the baby reindeer was the other one, which
Yeah.
both were pretty crazy in different ways. Although, they could be connected in other ways when you think about it. One's about pursuing your true love at all costs, and the other one's like, you think you found your soulmate, like another
Yeah.
unhinged mental behavior, like, yeah. It
That
all
is kind
borders
of
on
funny.
stalking.
I didn't think about it that way until you just said that. But the twin flames, I remember them
Yeah.
kind of being like, don't take no for an answer. And, oh, they have a
Yes.
restraining order against me. And then them being like, don't listen to that. Restraining orders aren't a real thing. You need to push harder. And it's like, that's not
That's
okay.
that's just an obstacle. You're just star-crossed
Yeah,
lovers. Yeah.
an obstacle. Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
like,
They
ooh,
they
I
both
didn't
were
see the
problematic.
parallels. Yeah, I didn't see the parallels and the connection
No.
between
I
that.
don't
I'm like,
I don't think
oh,
we stopped to reflect on both of them and the connections and stuff, or get too introspective,
no.
but both pretty crazy. You
Damn.
guys should go watch the
Yeah.
documentaries, listen to our Patreon. Tell us what you want to cover next, because I also just watched a couple other Netflix ones. There's one they just put out not too long ago, but the Ashley Madison affair website sort of
Oh, yeah. I
sordid
haven't watched
ordeal.
that, but I remember
It,
hearing when that
yes,
that was like 10 years ago? Was that about 10 years ago that was kind of blowing up?
probably, yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember when that was like all in the news, it was like, what the heck
Yeah,
is
so
this?
like it was good. That yeah, the special or the doc or whatever on Netflix was not bad. I enjoyed it. I was like, okay. and whatever. But it like, yeah, it started kind of like early internet. So they're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, dating websites, they're going to be the big thing. And everybody's like, okay, but also you're a website for married people. And some of their early ads were like so cringy. They were
Oh
just like,
God.
they're gonna never
Yeah.
get off the ground if they keep doing these little weird porno looking like these two people are married and they're kissing, but not to each other. And I'm like, oh God, I remember these ads and things like they're so bad. But then they got this like hotshot lawyer guy, and he was like spun everything and made it all cool. And then they found their tagline and whatever. It's just like, life is short, have an affair. And they kind of rebranded, and then it just like took off. Anyway,
Oh,
we
yeah.
should cover it. It wasn't bad. It's a really short one. It's like 3 episodes to watch or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. I remember it
Yeah.
coming up on my thing and I was gonna watch. But I think it started auto playing and I saw the cringy
Oh.
ads and the cringy website and was like, this looks so early 2000s. I can't handle it.
Oh yeah. Could be late 90s even. It's so early internet and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
am I going to hear a dial-up tone?" No. But the other one I just watched another one too though. Cuz I think I watched Ashley Madison one kind of by myself cuz Pat goes to sleep earlier or whatever. And then
Yeah.
oh shoot. There's another one on Netflix, a true oh, it's true it's culty. It's the one I kept thinking, isn't it called like the $6 million or 6 million person Netflix cult or TikTok cult or something? And it's called the Set 7M Dance Cult, and it shows like TikTokers dancing and stuff. And
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
yeah, that one I didn't know too much about, but we watched that, me and Pat. And it was kind of twin flames-ish, where you're like, this is like a modern sort of cult organization that people maybe don't even really know about or have heard about yet, you know? So
Yeah.
it was,
I saw the head,
yeah.
like just the thing on Netflix about it, but I'm not on TikTok, so I have no idea what it was about. Didn't watch
No, and
it.
I'm not really either, but like, the dances seem to be big, especially during the pandemic. Seemed like everybody was like, oh, there's a trendy
Yeah.
dance. Let's do it on TikTok or whatever. So I thought that's kind of what it was going to be like. Just, and it kind of is, but then it's kind of like, yeah, they get sucked into, oh, yeah, you'll be an influencer, but also I'm a religious guy, so be part of this
Oh,
religious organization and then keep dancing and we'll just take half your money. Oh yeah, it's very like Scientology kind of bullshit, I would say.
weird.
It's the money and oh. Anyway, yes, you should watch it.
Yeah, I started getting all these weird YouTube ads, like the ones that play before you watch a video on YouTube. And it's
Oh.
always like,
Yeah.
if you're still thinking you should invest $1,000 in real estate and whatever to make money in this economy, and I'm like, oh my God, who the fuck is clicking on these ads? Every single one of them I've had for the last, I don't know, week and a half has been about how either I need to download an extension before I purchase anything off of Amazon. And it's for some reason it's always headphones in the stupid YouTube ad. I have 3 different ones, and every single
Oh.
one of the little example of what you shouldn't be purchasing on Amazon without their extension, it's always fucking headphones for some
What?
reason. Or
Without
it's
their extension. We're
yeah.
worried Amazon's gonna screw you over worse than what, their employees?
Or it's like down like, oh yeah, click here and we'll teach you how to invest money, or where you should if you're still investing in cryptocurrency.
Oh,
I'm
damn.
like, oh my God, just go away. And none of them are skippable. It all says like video will play soon, and I'm like, fucking go away.
I hate when I get ads for, like, my work.
Yeah.
Sign your vehicle up for auto renew. I'm like, "No! That's what I
Ask
do all
us
day."
today. Yeah, I
But
don't want to
like,
process. Would you ever have to process your own vehicle renewal? They couldn't. Like
you're not
if it randomly
supposed
came up,
to. It's
would you
sort of like
have?
when you're in travel, you're not supposed to like book your own trip. Just to
Yeah,
like,
but if
yeah.
it wouldn't get sent to you, right? Do you get lists or is it just like randomized
It's
what gets sent
random.
to
It's
you?
a completely
Okay.
random list. They didn't even used to group the same household vehicles together.
Oh, that's annoying.
It made no
Yeah,
sense when they first rolled it out. Yeah.
that's
Um,
funny.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I also get like poor people ads now where it's like, you want to take out a loan? I'm like,
I watched too many videos where one of the what
no.
was it? Something was in French. And for some
Mm.
reason I was watching it. I can't exactly remember. But
Oh
then
yeah.
for 3 days, all of my YouTube ads were in French. And I was like, what the fuck? Like I even had a Walmart ad that was about them doing rollbacks or
Oh, okay.
whatever.
Yep. Yep.
Um and the one day it was in English, and then I watched some video on YouTube that was in French. I think it was like an interview or something, and it had subtitles. I was like watching it, and then the next day that same Walmart ad played, but it was suddenly in French, and everything else for 3 days was in French on YouTube. All the
It's like
ads.
they're putting out different like lures for you, like they're fly fishing.
It was like,
Well, maybe
oh, she watched
she
something in
speaks French.
French. Maybe she's French now. It's like, what? I'm
Oh,
not
I get
French.
well, but I think it's the more localized it is or something because I'll get ads on
Yeah,
Spotify usually, or it'll be like something about like British BC insurance, and I'm like, well, you're one province over, but you're close. Or
I
I'll get
got stuff
something
about
in
Edmonton,
French.
and I was like, fuck off. How do you know that
That's
like
creepy.
direct? I was
I've
like,
gotten
get away
French.
from
I've
me.
gotten like Mandarin, where I'm like,
I also had stuff about yeah, I also had stuff about Australia, which was weird. Because right after it was
okay.
French, it was Australia, and then it went back to like
I can
local.
almost see that from mine because I listen to a few Australian podcasters, but
Yeah.
still, no, it's creepy when you say the really localized ones like Edmonton. Yeah,
Yeah, like the
the
city, the direct city you live in. It's so creepy. You're
or the
like,
suburb because
no
I got
thank
an
you.
annoying Sherwood Honda, which Sherwood Park is a fucking
Sherwood Honda, Sherwood
suburb or
Honda.
whatever the fuck. Yes, I hate those commercials. Sherwood
Fucking
that,
cart.
Sherwood Honda. I'm like, fuck you. And now I'm hearing it in my freaking podcast apps. Oh, that made me mad.
That's so funny. Yeah,
And
people
now,
get paid millions to do those friggin' jingles, and you'll never, once you hear it enough, you'll never forget
oh. So sponsor us. No.
it. we'll write a we'll write a Castles and Cryptids jingle that'll get stuck in your head and it'll never leave.
But you don't have to write anything. They give you the ad script. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I just never want to be the one where I'm like listening to a half an hour show and I'm like, they're like, let's get to the show. And then it's like 5 minutes of ads. I'm like, okay.
All right then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, it's been a while since we recorded. Can you guys tell?
It has. It's been a couple weeks. We've mostly, I don't know, been texting sporadically about trying to update
Yeah.
all the behind the scenes stuff and everything that we're trying to work on. So,
Yeah, some BTS going on, but no, if you guys are new here, hello, are you still here? Hello? We get to
yeah.
stories eventually. No.
Yeah. There is a point.
Sometimes there's a tangent or two, but that is in our nature.
It's sometimes the tangents are what like can you do like inception tangents? Like one tangent leads to another, that leads to another, that leads to another, and it's like, why are we even here?
It's like I relate so hard when I hear other podcasters go, how did we get here? When they were talking about one subject literally like five
Yes.
minutes prior and they don't even know. When
It's
there's three
like,
people, it's even worse.
yeah, sometimes I will be editing and I'll zone out
Oh
and
no.
then I'll just be like, wait, how? I'm like, why are we leaving this in? And then I'll like have to go back like 4 or 5 minutes and re-listen to it and be like, okay, well at least that semi makes sense. And it's like, well, if you cut out this piece, then this next sentence where we get back to the story doesn't make
Will
sense
be
because it'll
out
be
of
like, oh,
place.
and on that note, blah 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 blah. And it's like, oh, now I have to leave this whole thing in.
I sometimes sound like two different people with my different trains of thought. Blah, 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 blah. No. Also, I left a lot in for the 150th. It was just very
Good.
raw. Like, this is like our
I
Patreon
love
one.
it.
This is
Yes.
things knock over, cats fall down,
I will
pats come
yeet him
on
across
air.
the room.
Yes, you eat him.
I will throw him out
Um,
the window.
I want to do another. I really enjoyed the games. You know, I love the like
Yeah, that was fun.
gamifying a segment. Yeah, like when we do the two truths and one lie, that's always fun with the scary stories. Um, and then like the top 10 with the guessing. I would like to have Pat on maybe for one that's a bit more easy to guess. Like I was listening to Tennish Pod today, and they did one with the top 10 Spielberg films or whatever. And I was like, oh
Ooh.
damn, movie ones we would be good at.
See, as soon as I try and think of anything, they all like just
Yeah.
disappear.
Oh,
Like
reconnected. Well, we'll have to
just
see how we do. We might be guesting and guessing some things on a
yeah.
podcast soon. Yeah, it could be fun to do some movie ones. Sorry.
Yeah.
Lost my
But no, we should get into it. That's why everybody's here.
Yes, we're here. Gordo's being quiet. Let's go. What are we talking about today?
We wanted to do another, or I guess it's been a while since we did kind of one of our international true crime series episodes. So
It has been.
yeah.
We like to feature a country just every now and again and
Yeah.
focus and put the spotlight on them.
Yeah, there's a lot of cases you might not hear about unless maybe
Yeah.
that's the country you live in,
Yeah. There was a
especially
few
if
really
it's not
famous
in
ones for
North
this one.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, did you have the problem when you tried to look up Austrian crimes where everything that came up was
Australian.
Australian? Yes.
Yeah, it was like, did you spell Australian wrong? And it's like, no, I didn't.
No, I
Uh,
didn't. You guys are being biased.
yeah.
Why would you think I meant Australia and not Austria? Both are totally valid countries.
Yeah.
For shame.
Um, I was like originally looking up, I think, a different case. And
Like you
then
specifically looked up a case by name?
no,
Oh,
I was like, after I had decided on a case, I was looking that one up, and then it
okay.
was in looking up more information about the other one that I was like, ooh, this one sounds more interesting. Let's cover this totally other case, and it deleted all of my. I had like only saved links and like I hadn't started typing or editing anything. I had just like started compiling like some research, and then it was like, okay,
Yeah.
goodbye. I already had pictures saved. I was like, fuck, go away. Deleted everything. I was like, start over an hour later. Uh
Oh my
to-
god.
totally
This
different
is
case.
this is what my brain does all the time. Well, this is really interesting too. Even more so.
Yeah, so just
Yeah.
like just scrapped
No.
everything and then was
Oh
like,
my god.
let's cover
Usually I'm
this
like,
one
now I have to
instead.
do two cases. No. That's so
Yeah. Yeah.
funny though.
I thought
Yeah.
about that and then I was like, nope, just cover the one. It'll be fine.
Oh, sorry, it
Yeah.
froze a bit. You said you thought about it, it'll be fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
there's
is
okay.
oh,
Sorry.
I'm like, we'll keep going. We have to go. We have to start. I gotta
Yeah,
get
no,
through
no,
this.
fair enough. No, I just don't think either of us are gonna cover like maybe the major top two ones, which I think will be cool and interesting.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
one's fairly popular. When I
Okay.
was looking it up, it looks like it's been on quite a few podcasts. I had never heard of it. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, there was a bunch of like YouTube people that have also covered it. So some people might know about it. This
Alright.
is Martha and oh shit, what's his name? Martha and Emil Marek. Uh,
Oh, I don't think I know it by the name. No.
yeah, I hadn't. It's kind of older.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah,
what
they
are
have
you
like
doing?
the big
Oh well.
serial killer guy that comes up on
Yeah,
television or whatever his name is. And so I'm like, I'm sure everybody's heard about that guy. So I'm glad you're not
yeah,
covering him.
nah. So
Nah.
Martha, she was born in Vienna. Um, some stuff said different dates, but I think it was in
Mm.
1897 she was born. Something else said 1904, but that doesn't really make sense based on an age they give it a later date with a specific year. So I think it was 1897.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Yeah, sometimes it's vague back then, but 7 years is quite a difference.
yeah, there's not a lot of details, I guess, in this
Hmm.
one. So, um, what I kind of dug up was she was left an orphan, like at a fairly early age.
Oh,
And yeah, it didn't really say how, but I sure probably not good situation anyway. And she was taken in by what
likely.
was described as a relatively poor family. So,
Oh, okay. They wanted that
yeah.
stipend that comes with adopting a child.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Um, so in 1919, she was 22 and working in a dress shop when she met this 74-year-old man named Mortice Fritsch. F R Fritch. Fritsch. That's really hard to say.
Oh,
Remember?
French.
Yeah, Fritsch. My mouth doesn't want to enunciate the name. But he's 74, she's 22. So,
Oh, okay. Yep.
yeah, exactly whatever just popped into your head happens. He was wealthy. He owned a different department store than the one she was working at.
Oh.
And it was like the next year. So she's like now 23. Um, they become romantically linked and involved.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
Scandalous.
It's like 51 years older than her. Not great.
Quite a gap, I must say.
Yeah, that is
Um,
quite the gap.
I
Uh,
hesitate to judge, as you know, but it's like, okay, well, were you really
51 is a
attracted to
lot,
him
though.
physically? Yeah, 51 years old, you're fine. 51-year age gap? Whoa.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, that's like a Hugh Hefner, whoever
Yes,
marries him for money situation. I won't name
absolutely.
names. We all know.
Uh, so yeah, it was a little weird. So after they become involved, he like pays to send her to these expensive finishing schools, one in France and then another one in England. And this is
Well,
so like she's not even staying with him. He's just like paying for this, but um it's like
okay.
during this time she kind of gets used to like a rich and fabulous life after being, as described, relatively poor up until this point.
It's amazing
So,
how fast you can get used to money.
right? I would love. Give me money. I would love to become super entitled and annoying.
But it's like you never forget. No.
Yeah. Seems like she
Mm.
forgot pretty fast.
Uh-oh.
So, or at least decides to do whatever it takes to keep this kind of life.
Oh,
So,
yes. She's become
yeah.
accustomed to a certain
Absolutely.
lifestyle.
So after these two finishing schools, she returns to Vienna and lives with Fritsch for a little while. I'm not exactly sure how long, but she soon met and began an affair with this engineer who would later become her husband, Emil Marek.
Ooh. Did they use
Yeah,
Ashley Madison? No.
I don't think so.
The medieval version. It's just notes on horseback.
Probably. Carrier pigeons? I don't know. Uh,
A spell cast by a lady named Ashley Madison.
yeah. Fritch ends up dying somewhere around this time, and he ends up
Oh.
leaving Martha his entire estate as well as um, yeah, like all his money, everything gets left to her, including the Vienna estate that's like in the woods. He passed away in like
Wow.
August of 1923. And
Also not
uh
that long after they've been married, is it?
so
Uh,
as far as I could tell, they weren't married. Like Fritch and Martha weren't married,
oh, okay.
because nothing ever talks about them getting married. But they were
They were
involved.
cohabitating. Yeah.
Yeah, they were involved for like 3-ish years.
Okay. They were
Um,
common law. I know that.
yeah.
I'm
So he
familiar
leaves
with
her
this one.
everything. And
Okay. No, that's good though, because if it's not official, like you could be in danger of not getting everything, right?
yeah, so he had like actually like explicitly left everything to her. And
Okay.
then because she was already having this affair with Emil, her and Emil, like they move in the house together. They get married in 1924, and
Oh,
they
right.
basically,
She was cheating.
yeah, they spend like the next 2 years just blowing all of the money that Fritch had left
Oh,
behind, and ended up,
really?
yeah, they blew so much money that they ended up being forced to sell the mansion, um
Come on, you
for
guys.
money because they had no other money. So
This is what happens to everyone with their 15 minutes of fame now. No.
yeah, right.
They're just like, blow it
um
all.
yeah, so the kind of the start of like the true crimey story is that in 1925 Emil loses one of his legs due to this accident that happens while he's out chopping wood.
Oh.
And yeah, there's it's kind of suspicious, and it's investigated a little bit and then revealed that Emil and Martha had taken out an insurance policy worth a large
Mm.
amount of money just the day before the accident that like insured Emil against accidents or injury and like loss of limb. And then the next
The
day he
day
loses a
before.
little. Yeah, the day before. Like
You're not good at
amateurs.
subtlety.
No. You gotta
It's
wait
not their
at least
strong suit.
a year or two. Like, come on. Um,
Damn.
yeah, fucking day before. Um,
Okay,
so
sorry. This is the um how old is this guy? He's 51 years older, like 70 some? That's him that
no,
died?
that guy's already dead. That guy
Oh
died,
fuck.
remember? This is her
Shit.
husband, Emil. He's like her age. I think he's in his, it didn't ever really say. I never really saw anything with his age in it.
Oh,
But I think he's
okay.
a lot closer to her age because they looked fairly similar in like photos. So I think they'd
Okay.
be, he's at least in his 20s and she's in her 20s. So,
Right, right.
yeah. Um yeah,
Shit.
so it like the insurance experts review the case and insist that there is conclusive evidence that the limb has been removed deliberately, methodically, and by their description clumsily, and required multiple blows. So they're just like, ah, I'm chopping wood, accidentally hitting my leg. Ah, let's keep going. Um, so
Oh man, that was not well thought out.
and no,
You
um,
you could have gone like so many different ways. If you're trying to
yeah,
take a husband out, having just read a book where it's called The Hour of the Witch, and she's like, he stuck a fork in my hand. Can I divorce him? And they're like, we're not sure. That's the devil's fork. What?
well,
You're a witch.
this they're trying to do like insurance fraud basically. He's not trying to
Right.
die. Um and she's not trying to kill him. They're just trying to commit insurance fraud to get money for him being injured. But
The new husband,
yeah.
younger husband. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm with you.
Um okay. As a
It's
result of
been
their
so long.
finding,
I don't know how to follow these anymore. It sounds
uh,
complicated.
the insurance company refuses to pay them any of their money, and they're actually found like guilty of attempted fraud and bribing public officials, and they're sentenced to 4 months in
Ooh.
prison, like each of them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. um, because they had kind of been in custody waiting for this trial and waiting for their sentencing, they were basically released immediately after sentencing because they had already been in custody for more than 4 months. So they're just like, woo, 4 months, sentence, goodbye. You're free to go because you've already been in prison for more than 4 months. So they let them
Right,
free.
time served, so you're
Yeah.
good to go. Okay. Hmm.
Um, there are a couple legends that say while in prison, Martha made an interesting friend. Maybe
Okay.
a few of them. Most notably would be a rumored acquaintance with Leopoldine Lichtenstein, who had murdered her husband with rat poison, which keep that in the back of your
Oh,
mind.
damn.
Yeah.
Leopoldine.
Leopoldine. I don't think I'd ever like I knew Leopold. I didn't know like Leopoldine.
And like Liechtenstein, that's a freaking country.
Yeah.
What the hell? Man.
So yeah, with them being released and everything like that, the public appeared to be on the couple's side. They were like the community kind of was like, "Oh, the insurance company is doing anything they can to avoid a payout." And they're
Hmm.
like, "We stand with the Mareks and they should get their money." It's like, maybe they shouldn't,
Well,
but
can be
yeah,
tough to
right?
be the insurance company sometimes too, yeah.
Yeah. They actually accused the public accused the insurance company, yeah, of doing anything they could to avoid a payout, and the company ended up actually settling out of court with the couple at some point. Don't really know what this is about, but they got a
Wow.
large sum of money, not as much as what the injury payout was supposed to be, but like quite a bit of money, like for the time.
Huh, I didn't even know they settled out of court at that time, rather. It seems more
Yeah, it was like
modern.
it's I saw stuff that said that they were like after their sentencing they were trying to sue the insurance company or something for not paying them out. And it was like, well,
Oh.
yeah, it was a little weird. And then they were just like, whatever, like we don't want to fight you guys anymore. This is a waste of time. They're like, we'll throw a little bit of money at you, like go away. Yeah, so they get the money from this insurance company, and after blowing through that once again, they moved to Algiers for a little while. Um,
Oh.
yeah, at the time it was somewhat cheaper to live there, and they go on to have two children together.
Nice.
Um, yeah, um, coming up to 1932. I'm not sure how old a mill is. They'd still be what 30, be in their 30s now. Uh, Emil unexpectedly dies of apparently tuberculosis.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
fucking young.
um have it they said he had been in like pretty poor health ever since his leg amputation, whether that had been done intentionally or not. So nobody really suspected foul play, and Martha once again like receives sympathy from the community, really like rallies around her. People offer their support and then start making like monetary donations because
Oh.
like um it said like the head of her household was now gone, but it didn't really seem like Emil was able to work since he lost his leg.
Yeah.
So
It's like
not really
the
sure about that, but yeah, they
ye
had a
old
lot of
GoFundMe.
yeah, they had a lot of public sympathy at least. And
Mm.
that only continued to grow when the couple's infant, or some sources say 7-year-old daughter, um,
Oh.
she's either
Depending on what age the woman was again. Yeah.
they said she was like either 7 months old or 7 years old. That's a big difference, internet.
Yeah,
Um,
you should be able to tell if you're looking straight at the child.
yeah. Is she
That should be
seven
your.
years or 7 months? I can't
Is she
tell.
nursing at the teat and doesn't have teeth? Yeah.
um yeah, their daughter, however old she was, died suddenly.
Oh God.
um it was only
Oh no.
a month or so, like within a few months after Emil died, so not
Oh
great.
gosh.
Once again, the community rallies around Martha and her little family. They donate money and try and support her through all these tragic losses. Um,
Oh.
yeah, Martha had been lately, or like it said, had lately been reduced to peddling vegetables in the street. Um, so she
Oh
was
my
like trying to
gosh.
sell food, I guess, to make ends meet. And
Yeah. Selling
after the
potatoes.
yeah, after the death of Emil and their daughter, she ended up getting, I guess, insurance payouts from both of their
Oh,
deaths. So they
of
had like
course.
insurance, yeah. Soon, though, Martha, once again running low on money, made a plan that would help her maintain this high standard of life she'd become used to, which I wouldn't describe it as a high standard of life because it seems like she's constantly struggling. But
Right. And then people keep dying, and yet that only gives her a finite amount of money.
yeah, just like a little bit at a time. So,
Hmm.
yeah, not knowing what to do next, with the death of their daughter, Martha moves in with her elderly aunt, Suzanne Lowenstein, uh, who also tragically falls ill and passes away in 1934, but
This
not
is starting to
before.
sound familiar, but it might just be other cases like this. Everyone around me drops dead.
Yeah.
Oops.
Um, yeah, so this elderly aunt passes away, but not before they're able to appoint Martha as her sole heir.
God damn.
Leaving Martha once again with a stable house to live in, which Martha decides to open up to like boarders, so like people wanting to or
Hmm.
looking for a place to live.
An internet house. He means an Airbnb. This was a movie we watched the
Yeah,
other day where it
pre
all goes
Airbnb.
wrong. Oh, it was the
Yeah.
Strangers prequel, that one.
Oh,
Um
okay.
you know, the Strangers with like Liv Tyler and is Tamara home? And they're like, why are you doing this to us? Like, because you were
Yeah.
here. Yeah. It was pretty good. The
So you
prequel
don't
was pretty good.
fucking
Yeah.
answer the door to nobody ever. Uh,
Don't. Or
You can yell
take
through the door. You can yell
or if
through a
someone offers
second story
you
window.
Airbnb after your car breaks down outside of a freaking diner. I don't know. It's all
Yeah.
lining up too much. Yeah. Ugh.
Um yeah, so Martha's like operating this little boarding house and
Okay.
something leads to her to have the brilliant idea to take out a life insurance policy on one of the tenants who
Oh my god. This is
um
giving
it's
like
like why is this
Michael
necessary?
whatever is nuts vibe. The guy, the Irish guy that drank so much, they were like, "We'll just kill him and cash in on his life insurance policy." But then they just like couldn't kill him. He was like Rasputin. They're like, "We'll feed him rat poison him and all this shit." And he was just like, "Hi guys, I'm pretty hungover, but like, you got any more?" Michael
Oh,
Malloy, I think his name is. Yeah, it's this is what vibes this is giving me.
no. Yeah. Um, so yeah, some sources differ. It either says it was a male tenant, some stuff says it was a female.
Oh,
Weirdly, but almost all of the sources use the same name though. Um,
a
so I don't know.
unisex name?
I don't think it is. It's Felicitas.
Oh,
Like
I have no idea. I've never
Felicitas
heard that.
Kittenberger. Kittenberger.
What?
Maybe Kittenberger. I don't know. It's Berger. Berger.
I,
Kittenberger.
okay, well, the last name does
Felicitas
like
Kittenberger.
make sense for that area, but the whole
Right?
name together is a mouthful.
It sounds made up.
Yeah.
But they're like, yes, the male tenant Felicitas Kittenberger. And then it was like, the female tenant. I was like, what is it? Um,
Ooh, Felicity. That's usually a female name.
right? Yeah.
Felicitas, I've not heard. Yeah.
Neither had I. So yeah, I don't really know. But that was the tenant's name. So Martha takes this life insurance policy out on the tenant, who ends up
Hmm.
dying after a short and unexpected illness. Oh my god, poor Martha.
Unexpected by anyone other than us.
Yeah. Shortly before their death, the tenant had mentioned that they always seemed to get sick when they ate Martha's food. Dun dun dun.
Good Lord. Who has eaten Martha's food?
Right.
That's what I'd like to know.
Martha had also it's sorry, it's kind of like confusing on what's the ultimate downfall. It seems to be surrounding her, like this tenant's death.
Hmm.
Whether it's like their death outright, or the fact that they also Martha had also fraudulently tried to report some of what I think was her aunt's paintings, that I assume had been left to Martha. She tried to report them as
Oh.
stolen to collect
Oh.
insurance money. However, one of the insurance investigators ended up being one of the ones who investigated Emil's original accident where he lost his leg.
Oh my
And so they
God.
suspected Martha was involved in insurance fraud once again and trying to report these paintings stolen. So he ended up
Jesus.
searching,
Finally.
right? He ended up searching a bunch of local warehouses and is able to locate the missing artwork. And as a result, Martha is arrested and charged with fraud once again. Um,
Oh.
Other stuff says that
Twist.
this didn't quite happen that way, but instead, um, it was like the death of the tenant, who had a son. The son ended up being like, no, Martha was
Hmm.
involved and they were getting sicker. So they kind of like alerted the authorities that the death was suspicious. And then other things say kind of like the painting is what got her, like the stolen artwork, is kind of what got her
Right.
arrested. But
Combination
um,
of things, I guess, because you have to have enough before you can arrest someone and whatnot. But
yeah.
yeah.
Um, but most of what I read said that after reading of her arrest because of the stolen artwork, the son of the dead tenant had requested that um, the body be exhumed, and then a new autopsy was performed, and the autopsy
Oh.
proved that the death had not actually been natural as first uh, thought. And as a result, all
Mm.
of the bodies of Martha's like family members were all exhumed and
Oh my
reanalyzed,
God.
because some of them had
Good.
autopsies and it had been like, oh, this is like Emil's. They were like, yeah, this is tuberculosis, and kind of left it at that.
Right. But it wouldn't necessarily have been necessary or typical for them to do autopsies on everybody
No.
that died.
Yeah, so like they exhumed everybody. They exhumed the aunt, uh,
Wow.
the tenant, their daughter, Emil. Like they exhumed like four people and
And
did
the
these
was the
new.
first one the mother or no?
No, the first one was Emil, and then it was the
Oh.
daughter, and then it was the aunt, and then it was the tenant.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah, so
Damn.
after they're re-looked at all the deaths, all had actually died after being poisoned with what's toxic uh,
Oh.
zelio paste, which was freely available
Oh.
at the time and used to poison rats. And it contained the toxin thallium, which I had heard of before. I think
Oh
we've talked about
yeah.
it. Um, which is why I was like, keep that in the back of your mind. Her possibly, according to legend, befriending a woman who poisoned her husband with rat poison. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
may or may not.
Yeah,
But
like it's an over the counter kind of thing. You can get it,
yeah, it
whatever.
said you could get it at a lot of places. It
Yeah.
wasn't like you, yeah, just over the counter because it was rat poison and it's the 1930s. Like people probably had
No
that
one would
shit down.
question it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
So, analysis of the surviving family members had also revealed that Martha had begun poisoning their son, named
Oh,
Alphonse. I'm not sure how old he was, but
wow.
thankfully he was alive still, and mostly saved because Martha had already been arrested before he got like too sick, and he was rushed to the hospital and like recovered.
Wow. Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
they're usually the first to go, the most vulnerable that
yeah.
start getting poisoned. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Um, Sources said that while in court, Martha faked seizures and even blindness, which I thought was
Okay.
weird. Um, Said that she had to be carried to and from the courtroom in a specially constructed chair, which I would love to
Oh.
know more about. Like a throne?
Hmm.
Do they mean they like carry her in a throne because she's blind, pretending to be blind? Like, what is this specially constructed chair?
I'm picturing like before they have the Hannibal Lecter dolly. She's strapped to a chair and like just strapped down. They carry her in on the chair. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I would love I'm gonna picture her from now on, strapped like Hannibal Lecter to the dolly.
Oh my
That's just
God.
Martha.
Oh, I have a picture when one year, yeah, we're at a bar or whatever, and Pat's dressed all Hannibal Lecter in his like coveralls
Oh,
and a
jeez.
mask thing. And I don't think I had much of a costume, but I looked cute. So there's pictures.
It was Hannibal Lecter and his victim. Yeah.
Can you believe at that time this was what? Oh my God. Okay, well, what our kid's almost going to be like 17. So it was like maybe 20 years ago when I think about it. But I was like we were going to go do like a superhero party, and my friend Ellen having to tell me who fucking Scarlet, or not Scarlet Witch, but who Black Widow was, because like Marvel wasn't really known.
Yeah. The
Just
first
wearing the
Iron
black
Man.
tight leather pants. I'm like, okay. And like I had
Yeah.
my hair's red already or whatever. I usually dye it red. So it's like, we'll curl your hair. And I'm like, okay, I just look like I'm doing the grease thing now.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. had
Oh,
not single-handedly started the Marvel Cinematic Universe after Edward Norton failed to start it with the Incredible Hulk.
it was all his fault.
Yeah. Okay. Almost done. Um
Nice.
yeah, there's some weirdness with like the trial, her doing all that kind of stuff. There isn't a lot of details, but
Yeah.
apparently there's this Austrian tradition where when a woman receives a death sentence, which is what Martha received, it ends up being converted to life imprisonment because they're a woman. So I don't know why they ever sentence women to death,
Oh.
but I guess it's a thing. It just gets like
Okay.
commuted right away,
Yeah.
like
So it's like
automatically.
not really the death penalty. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But because at the time, Adolf Hitler had just seized power of Austria, he ended up like overriding this and reinforced and upheld Martha's original death sentence, um, which
What?
a lot of the people didn't really like, and they were somewhat reluctant to follow through with it because no woman had actually been executed in Austria for over 30 years because of like that tradition of like commuting it right away.
Right. Like it sounds like they're
Um
basically trying to phase it out almost.
yeah, so Martha Marek, who was responsible for four deaths by poisoning, was it said she like struggled against the guards as they basically dragged her up to a guillotine.
Oh my
And
God. In the
I know.
fucking 40s? This is
Uh
so medieval shit.
not yet. But she was
Okay.
decapitated by the guillotine on December 6th,
What?
1938 in Vienna at the age of 40.
Wait. So what you mean by not yet is it was 1938?
Yeah, it's the 1940s. It is not. It's the 1930s. The late 1930s.
I'm like, holy shit, I'm about to be blindsided. You're like, no. But they did kill her though.
Yes.
No.
But a lot of
Oh
stuff
my
says she
gosh.
was actually the if I remember correctly, she was the first woman um who like had the death sentence and was like killed in like
Right.
those 30 years. She was the first one that it got done to, and then I don't know
Damn.
how many more after, but apparently the guy, I didn't keep his
Yeah.
name in here, that like released the guillotine on her, I guess, like killed like 7,000 people for the Nazis. He was like some crazy
Mm.
executioner that's like famous in
Oh.
the Nazi party. I don't really know. I was like, whatever. I want to talk about Nazis.
I don't think they still use
It said it had been
guillotines
shipped
then.
to Vienna like just for this. Like special. It
Weird.
was so weird. I was like, what the
They were
fuck?
using gas chambers. Like,
Yeah.
so bizarre.
Yeah. Well,
I have a
that's the
lot of
story. I
thoughts.
thought it
My
was
brain's
really
going a lot of different
interesting.
rabbit holes. Yeah,
Um,
that's it sort of sounds familiar, but then I'm like, does it just sound familiar because I've heard
I've heard of
women
a
crime?
other few
Yeah.
ones. There was like that one.
The tea
Uh,
poisoner lady? Yeah.
yeah, I think that was the one. Was she the one that like dressed up to make herself look older and then had the boarding house and like poisoned all these older people
Oh,
and
that is
yeah,
definitely one I've heard.
and then
Yeah,
had them
yeah.
like transfer all their funds so she was in control and had all their social insurance money or social security getting sent
I
to
don't know if
her.
that's the one I'm thinking of, because wasn't there one called the
There's quite a
Toxic
few of
Tea
them.
Lady? Oh my God.
I think so. There's quite a few.
Yeah.
But yeah. I thought this one was kind of interesting. I was like, "Oh, it's been covered like I
Wow.
said on other podcasts and like YouTubers and stuff." And I was like, I hadn't heard of it. I thought it was interesting.
No, that's not like a known one that I thought of at all.
Yeah.
It sounds like I may have heard it, but I'm still like, no. Um, what I found came up with when you kind of first try to just look up Austrian crimes, other than Australian crimes, is like
Yeah.
um Jack Unterweger and oh, actually
Yeah.
one that came up that I was like, holy shit, I've already covered this was Natasha Kampusch, who was kidnapped and held for a very long time, and I covered her in one of our abducted episodes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, wait, I know this
Yes,
name.
that one came up. Um
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
so weird
those
when
two
you're
came
like,
up quite a lot. Even when I was like looking up
yeah,
this case after, you scroll down far enough and then suddenly stuff gets less and less
yeah.
relevant.
But it's hard. Like sometimes I try to rephrase it because I'm like, I don't want it just to come up with crime statistics. Um,
Yes.
on
Oh my god.
moving somewhere. True crime in this area, murders in this area. They're like, you don't want to move here. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm asking actually, but
Yeah, and I don't want like
um,
police statistical analysis of crime by population density.
no. I've never
It's like,
even looked up if I can look up if there's freaking, you know, sex predators in our neighborhood. I just
I don't want to know.
no, I think that's it. I think that's
There's
what
too
it
many
is.
things. There would be so many dots it would just
And
smother
you
the
don't
city.
know. You don't know the story. Anyway,
Yeah.
it could be anything. Shit. Oh yeah, Natasha Kampusch, that come up and I was like, holy shit, I covered that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, whenever you were just talking, I was thinking of something else. Um, oh, one of the other main stories that comes up for Austrian true crime, I think I had also heard of, but also is a pretty rough one where like the father imprisons the daughter in like a basement for
Yeah.
many years and has many children on her, and I was like, that I've heard of that one, but if I could avoid covering that and just do some that other people don't know about as well, like I'll just avoid that altogether.
Yeah, that one I also saw come up a lot. It was like that
Yeah.
one and then the serial killer guy. Like back and forth. Every
Yes.
search result I looked at.
Which I'm sorry, but I would get sick of that. Like if you look up Canadian killers, you probably get fucking Robert Picton and fucking a couple other famous guys. Like you know what I mean? So like I just
Yeah.
like cover some there's so many other cases. It's like yeah, so we'll get to it. We'll get to mine.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Stick around for part 2.
We'll be back. Great job. That was
Thanks.
wow. Yeah, I need a break after that. No, that was rough. Oh, little kids. Oh, and for a
I
minute
know,
there,
her
I was
own
all like,
kid.
and then you said they died, and I'm like, oh, god damn it. And I was like, I should have known. Why was I so hopeful? This is true
Yeah.
crime.
I was gonna say, it's true crime. You didn't see it coming? I saw it coming the whole time. I was just like,
Be ready to be depressed. Yep.
oh.
I
Oh
was so
no.
excited because we were recording again.
Yeah. Excited to see your face.
Exactly. Well, we'll be right back.
Podcast dedicated to people from or living in Scotland.
Just like anywhere else in the world, these murders can be truly horrific and shocking, and we want to shine more light upon them.
Join us every 2 weeks on Scottish Murders, where we'll bring you cases both solved and unsolved, giving you an insight into the other side of bonnie Scotland.
Find us wherever you stream your podcasts, as well as on social media.
Join us there. Bye!
Part 2, Austria true crime. I found this was kind of fun, and I was looking up my sources. I could not find many. I guess.
Yeah. I think I had like 3 or 4.
Yeah, there was like a YouTube video that came up with this one, and that's how I like got the name. But then
Okay.
for my first source, I went to see if there was any podcasts on it, and then there was one that I listened to called Fresh Hell, which cool name for a podcast, by the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What in the fresh hell?
But also turned out to be a very good one to listen to because the two co-hosts who, yeah, I'm just trying to give them a little shout out too. It was like one of them's from America, the other one's from Vienna. I was like, oh, okay, so like,
nice.
cool. Like your neck of the
Yeah.
woods. So like she would like help the other girl with like the pronunciation of some of them and stuff, and it was really cool. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, I've heard of a Canadian American podcast, but like love that you just like met online and now are doing a podcast together. Like so cool.
Oh, really? Aw, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Hard enough to meet friends, so
Yeah.
So was calling this one the confusing case of Aeryn Gillern. Yeah.
Okay.
Had not heard of it at all. Would be surprised that many
No,
people
it doesn't
had.
sound familiar or anything.
No, which is unfortunate. But I'm gonna try to find the spoiler alert movie documentary, I guess there is about this one now, called Gone. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. Aeryn Michael John Gillern was born on April 28th, 1973, which makes him a Taurus. Aeryn grew, and it's, by the way, Aeryn is spelled Aeryn, which I thought was pretty cool.
Nice. Okay. Not Aaron.
Yeah. But
Or
before, like, kind of the trendiness of, like, spelling names differently almost. Because, like, 1970s, I don't know, you either had
yeah.
kind of a normal, more common name, I guess we'll say, or maybe you had, like, a more, like, hippie-ish name. And probably not a lot in between. I don't know.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. He grew up in Elmira, New York, so he was an American.
Okay.
Yeah, and he studied at the Franciscan University of Steubenville in Ohio, and that was after
Steubenville. It's
Steubenville.
a fun word. I've never heard that before.
There's a lot of place names, and I was like, I'm including them, even though I don't know how to say them.
Yeah.
Well, because this next one is he graduated from high school in Groton, New York in 1991. maybe it's Groton. I don't know. Groton. He achieved a Bachelor of Arts in Theology, which, by the way, is the study of religious belief from a religious perspective. So I kind of like knew the
From a
word.
religious perspective, and that
The
it's good.
The study of religious belief from a religious perspective. Which to me is like, I guess maybe you're just kind of studying all religions, but maybe with a respect to religion. I'm not really sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he definitely was like a faithful person, and he did attend seminary school from 1997 to 98 at Graz Sekau in Austria. Just guessing, that's how it's said, but it's like the seminary schools, you may have heard of them. They train people to be like priests, rabbis, ministers. So he would been thinking about training as a Catholic priest, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
He then earned a Master of Arts in Theology with the Christian ministry, but he did not decide to eventually become a full priest. However, like from the sources, it said because he probably felt it was at odds with his sexual orientation because he was gay and like
Okay.
proud, and so
That's good.
you know how the Bible is with how people
Yeah.
interpret it, whether or not it's pro gay or not usually.
Yeah.
So I get that, like he couldn't kind of condone or make it fit
But
with.
that's nice that
Yeah.
he like understood enough about himself to like be proud of that and like acknowledge it
Yeah.
and
Kind of
like
be
make
true to
that
himself.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like kid is smart. Like he loved to study, obviously.
Yeah.
He then got a job as a research assistant in 2003 with UNIDO, aka the United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Here we are with those acronyms again.
Yeah.
But because they had a headquarters in Vienna, that's how he ended up living there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's basically what I kind of understood. But he had been living there happily with his partner. Some 3 years later, when he earned another accolade, this time a little less scholarly, but no less important, he earned the Mr. Gay Austria title of 2006.
What? Is it like a pageant?
There's a picture of him
there...
wearing a sash.
Oh my. Okay, that's the only pageant I ever want to see.
I didn't know that was a thing. It sounds awesome.
That's awesome. I like that.
I should have had it in for our in time for Pride Month. It's just after, but you know.
No, that sounds like so much fun because
Right?
I feel like female beauty pageants are just like so stiff and like boring and we wave like the queen and shit like that.
Beauty
And
pageants in general problematic.
our talents are standing and sucking in our guts while we wear bathing suits or twirling a baton
and talking about what was your perfect date? I don't know, just April 24th.
Yeah, I was gonna say whatever date.
I think that's from
Miss Congeniality.
It's from something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have to look up. I have to look up this gay beauty pageant now.
Oh, weird, because I was just watching I was just rewatching some Arrested Development because I just can only watch, The Office and everything to go to sleep so many times. And it was when Maybe, because her name's Maybe, for those people who don't watch it, Maybe Fuke goes I'll just compete in this beauty pageant because there's no like my mom put me in these ones when I was a kid where they're inner beauty pageants and they still pick the little blonde-eyed blue-haired girl. So she puts on like a fake nose and sits in a wheelchair and they're like, I don't know
Yes.
if we can accommodate you. And then they're like, actually we built a ramp, so we're good. And then like she like ends up winning and then her dad's in the audience and he's like, oh, that's where I know her from when she admits who she is. I'm like, yeah, from being your daughter with pathetic nose on. Like, you asshole.
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
I know, I was just rewatching some of the old seasons. It's silly. Anyway, sorry, this all right, I'm trying to have fun, but this case is pretty rough.
Oh, okay.
So, as they all are. Aeryn and his mom are pretty close. So as he's living in Europe, but he's still visiting with her. He visits with her stateside in like September of 2007, and then she had spoken to him on the phone in October. This was like October 27th. So they're in contact quite a bit, which is cool. And then she just happens to get the most horrible call a parent can get, and that's that her son has been reported missing on October 31st of 2007.
Damn. On Halloween.
Yeah. Not a happy Halloween.
No.
The last known whereabouts of Aeryn are iffy, vague, and unconfirmed is what I can say about him. Okay, so other than like his last interaction with his partner, he had seen him in the morning. So they didn't like live in the same city. I have a little bit more on it later, but it's tough because other than that, his last known whereabouts were that he had supposedly last been seen at a gay sauna sometimes after he finished work that day. This was at a place called Kaiser Bundel Sauna in Webergasse. But it's like it's a totally gay sauna. Women are not allowed inside. The host that was there that said she lived in beautiful Vienna was like, I've never been allowed inside. It looks beautiful. So men only, and allegedly an altercation of some kind took place that night that he was there, or that evening.
Oh, okay.
But that is all we know, and that is one of the most frustrating parts. Because
And when was this? Was this on the 31st or
yeah, like
okay.
he got done work, like people had seen him at work that day and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's maybe mentioned a little later, but he like stopped at a shop on the way home to pick up some baking supplies, and then he went to the sauna, and then he was basically never seen again after the sauna.
Huh.
Yeah, and that's why this one's so frustrating, I think. An alleged altercation may have taken place. It's all alleged. This is all unconfirmed, but there was rumors slash eyewitnesses maybe that say that someone was running naked in distress from the sauna, and that might have been him. But like,
okay.
it's very vague, and I think that's what frustrates the family so much. So he may or may not have run from the facility located on Stephenplatz, because there's so many fun German names.
Yeah.
The only fun part. But other than them, like, then finding some of his stuff there afterwards, like, we don't know what went down, or who, or what was said. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that up front, because it's like there's no answers on that part. It's so frustrating. So like, was he fighting with someone, and what happened because he wasn't fighting with his partner? That was the last time he was seen, and then police unfortunately mishandled the investigation, I will say.
Not surprised.
Sorry, I didn't close my door all the way. Yeah. I don't know. I expected more. Because what I didn't say that this wasn't that long ago. Yeah, 2006. This is this happened the year my kid was born, so this happened 17 years ago. It's like we should have done better. Um, they seem to ignore evidence, not conducted proper investigations, interviews of family, friends, and possible witnesses. The day he disappeared. Unfortunately, the officers seem to show blatant disrespect and condensation, condescension. That one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they like formed a bunch of droplets.
And then they ran down the shower wall.
Oh, they fucking ran down. Oh my god. No, it's good to have some levity though. Because this was condescension rather to his mother, who was a police officer from her career.
Really? Oh my god.
Oh, it gets
Oh.
so much worse. And yeah,
Wow.
they seem to introduce. It would seem like maybe some bigotry or personal feelings or bias had played a factor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It still happens now with police.
Yeah.
And
I know this seems like it's a modern case, but I can't say that it wasn't a factor.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we got to Aeryn's mother, Catherine, who was a police officer herself. So when her son went missing, she kind of knew how things should go. She actually had a commendable. I mean, like, yeah.
She'd be like, "Here, I've done all of the work for you. I just am retired. Can't put my name on it. Here you go."
Yeah, I mean, kind of, right? She's just like, kind of expects a certain level of competency.
And they should, out of respect for her career. Like,
oh, you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, if nothing else, like, fuck, respect your fellow police officers' family. Like,
yeah, but different country. So a little bit of her background though. She began first as a social worker in Tompkins County. So that was back in New York. And she had been a single mom raising 2 boys. So like that's pretty commendable that she had such a career when trying to do all that.
I like that she was a social worker before she became a cop.
I do
feel
too.
like that's a great background to have when you're becoming a cop.
And you're a mother? Yeah, like
yes. Very
so
good.
she was great at it as well. She joined the Ithaca Police Department in 1985 and she served as a patrol officer and neighborhood police officer. And then she trained as a mounted police officer, which makes me think of the Mounties, but I guess was the American version.
Yeah.
And then she was a member of the emergency response team. And she was one of the first female officers to complete the advanced SWAT training with the International Association of Chiefs of Police.
Damn.
SWAT training, I mean.
Yeah, fuck.
That ain't easy.
That must be intense.
I mean, it's like the fucking not the Navy. What's the other one? The Navy's pretty hardcore too, but Navy SEALs. I think that's what I was thinking of. Anyway, I'm just gonna shut up because with my sister in the Navy, I will be quiet or I will offend someone. But like Mr. Ballin, he talks about he was in like the Navy SEALs, and that's a tough regime to get through or whatever. So Mrs. Gillern was very involved in community outreach programs. She appeared on TV with her job as an officer, and she won several awards for her service also, including Crime Prevention Officer of the Year by the New York State of Crime Prevention Coalition, and also the Michael Padula Award by the Tompkins County Human Rights Commission. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, and after she had retired in 2006, after 20 plus years of service, I think she thought she was just gonna have a little peace for a while. But then, a year after, this happens to her son.
Damn. Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Okay, so I did have some quotes of some details. Like upon Kathy's arrival in Austria, police tell her they believe he was last seen fleeing an exclusive men's sauna wearing only a towel. Which, okay. And they believe...
One does not typically do, so, like, why? Why would he be leaving in that state?
No, and they just say they believe this. They don't really have any evidence either. And they also assert or believe that he has jumped to his death in the Danube River.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, after buying baking supplies. That's your plans afterward. Buy baking supplies and then
so hard.
Jump into a river.
It's like they didn't want to look at any of the evidence, and only the mother did. You'll see.
Weird.
The police do have a theory about what happened to Aeryn. I think this was a quote as well. It's in a different font. Get this, that he had committed, quote, spontaneous suicide by jumping in the canal after he'd been startled in the sauna.
Startled?
Yeah. Yeah, so okay, so there was an excerpt from the letter the mom wrote to the police, which I have included later on, but she said, they said he'd been sitting there listening to music and someone tapped him on the shoulder, which startled him. Gillern.
And then he decided to die.
Ran out naked?
I'm so scared!
I'm in a sauna and someone tapped on my shoulder. Yes, it can be scary because I listen to music at work with like a headphone in or whatever, and you can get startled.
But would you go jump out a window as a result?
Likely not.
No.
The last couple days where I got soaked just going to my car at night.
Yeah. That makes... oh my god. That's the weirdest excuse I've ever heard for somebody claiming that somebody, like, killed themselves.
Oh, yeah.
That is, like, the worst explanation I think I've ever heard.
There's a lot of bad, theories that the police in Austria seem to purport.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, is this just one of them? And then they change their mind to something else later?
Well, yeah, because we just don't have anything, so they're just kind of like spinning. I don't even know. I don't want to be like, yeah. I mean, we'll let the mom say it because she writes a scathing letter, and that is what I was searching
Good for her.
Because it's...
I would rip them apart.
Yes. So yeah, they said, what? That he ran out up a flight of stairs, past his changing room, through the entryway and check-in area, and into the street, all with just a towel around his waist. That's what they said.
Jesus.
Then he ran down the street about 20 blocks and jumped into the canal, she added.
20 blocks after running that far and upstairs and everything? 20 blocks is far.
It's so spontaneous, though.
In a towel, dripping wet.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it's tough. The mom spells the last name a little differently, the original way. So she spells hers Gilleran, and his looks more like Gillern. So if I say it
Oh.
differently, that might be why. But it said Gillern also had a troubling experience when the sauna manager gave her a tour of the premises, showing her Aeryn's dressing room. She said at one point he laid on the floor and wept, and the translator told her the manager was saying that was the last place he'd seen Aeryn. So,
Crying on the floor in a sauna.
yep. And she had to work so
Okay.
hard to get into it because it was a men's only sauna.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that one female employee has never even been in there, so.
No, no. So this is just like the mom being able to come into it, and the manager is like freaking out at this one spot and like crying. And she's like, "What's going on? Like, why are you saying this is the last place you'd seen him?" And blah, blah, blah. And
Weird.
he says he couldn't talk about it. And I heard that come up a few times where he would just be like, "Oh, this is what happened to Aeryn, but it doesn't matter what happened to your son now." But he was just like
Oh,
very
cover up.
emotional. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've heard shady shit, I feel like has happened in most saunas and
Or like
that.
even countries like ours where you think, maybe people couldn't get away with this shit here. But yeah, no, you can
No!
anywhere. Yeah. Um so
Wasn't it literally, what's his face? I can't remember his name right now. He
yeah.
literally went to gay saunas,
Wait,
didn't he?
was he a serial killer that presented as sort of gay,
Yeah,
like Jeffrey Dahmer or someone?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he went to. Yeah, I literally talked about him getting kicked out of saunas
He liked
for
young boys.
inappropriate behavior.
Oh,
I've heard of that in a lot of cases. I feel like anytime a gay
damn.
sauna gets mentioned, I'm like, yeah, shit went down. Like, it seems to always something
What a
bad has happened.
fucking shame. Because
Yeah.
sometimes, like, I'm sorry, but when Pat used to DJ at the gay bar in Fredericton, where I grew up, my hometown, that was like the coolest bar in town, man. You got a
Oh,
DJ
that's
taking
nice.
care of you? They got the best music.
Yeah.
It's not the country
And
bar.
people can actually dance. No.
But they had a foosball table. It was really cool. The gay bar was called Boom. I'm sure it's still there.
Oh, that's cute.
It's cute. I even went there when I was still pregnant because it was still just fun to go to.
So-
Well, Pat was still DJing there. Anyway, there's like one photo of me when I'm pregnant, and that's probably a good thing.
you and the gay called Boom.
I think it is because like my friend Tiffany's standing there. Anyway, I don't know. My little belly. Ah. Okay, what the fuck? Sorry, where am I? Oh yeah, so she tours the sauna. The manager seems to have some weird memories, but he just couldn't talk about it. And the mother, Catherine Gillern, says she talked to Aeryn just 2 days before he went missing, and he received phone calls from friends right up until 8:20 p.m. the night he disappeared.
Yeah.
So he was like there all day. Like his whereabouts were known all day, I should say. There were other signs that made Gillern believe he was not considering suicide. One was planning ahead for the future. Oh, see this. Sorry, this is part of the larger quote I have later that I went searching for, but he had bought airline tickets 2 weeks before for Zurich, Switzerland for Christmas and for Helsinki in February because he was going to go visit his partner and, his partner's family and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah. So he was making plans. That's the main point.
Yeah. And those aren't small plans.
Not if you're paying airline tickets. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out if I can come see my mom, and she's all, I'll pay for the tickets, and I'm all, That's a lot of money, but I still don't know if I can afford it, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
too bad traveling within Canada was a little cheaper. um, but yeah, he was supposed to have his mom come for an extended stay because during his last visit home in September, she was putting her home up for sale, planning to move to Florida, doing the whole retiree thing. Um,
Nice.
so he said, like, come stay with me for 6 months and, you know, then you can go retire and whatever. Just, you know, a little year away. Um, and she was excited about it. She said, the more we talked about it, the more excited I became. On the 27th, the last time we talked, I told him I hadn't had much luck. And he asked me to at least try to come for the first week of December because he was going to visit his partner in Switzerland for Christmas. He
Yeah.
said he talked to his landlord about getting a 2-bedroom apartment in the same building, but it didn't look like it was going to work out. But he'd bought a sofa bed, she added. um, we talked about that then, and that was the last time I talked to him.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, like everybody just said he was normal the last day too, which is just another kind of weird thing if anything was going on, you know.
Yeah.
The day he disappeared, he had lunch with friends, went to the gym, and talked with his trainer. Gillern added, like his mom. Everybody said he was in a good mood. He'd baked Rice Krispie treats for his coworkers that day, but had forgotten them at home. They were still sitting on the counter when Gillern arrived to search for her son.
Oh, that's sad.
Isn't that
That's
horrible?
sad.
God damn it, I don't love Rice Krispie treats, but when they're fresh, when your mom just made them or something, they're so good. Aeryn had dropped off his dry cleaning the day he disappeared and did a load of wash before he left for work. The clothes were still in the washer when she got to his apartment, so he had been coming back, by all appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he was just a normal guy, like biking, rollerblading, running, lifting weights. So it's hard because there's not a lot of theories as to what the hell would have happened, right? Um, there was something that came up that said Gillern wonders if a complaint her son filed with Amnesty International over alleged mistreatment by the Vienna police in January 2003 had anything to do with how his case was handled. So,
Oh.
yeah, it was one point that was brought up. On January 11th, 2003, Gillern was taken into custody by Vienna police after forgetting to have his subway ticket stamped and for not having his passport, according to a 3-page deposition he filed in the case. Gillern said police punched him, pushed him around, handcuffed him without charging him or advising him of his rights, forcefully took his gym bag, and later illegally entered his apartment.
Yeah, that sounds
Like, about right?
insane. Yeah. Oh my god. It's
Yeah.
like how many things? Uh,
Well, if you just don't have a
it's like
subway ticket.
4 things right there they did wrong.
True, exactly. I remember getting scared when we were last year in Toronto, Rain and I, and visiting our friends that live there, and then we had been on the subway, and then there was a subway cop checking people as they got off or something, and then we like lost sight of Rain, and my friend was like, well, sorry, like we gotta find her because there's like a fine if you're not stamped as, you know what I mean? Like you got on the train, but you didn't got stamped like you paid the fare or whatever. But she was like freaking me
Yeah.
out that it was going to be like a couple $100 fine, and I was like, we couldn't find Rain in the crowd of people for a few minutes, so I was just like,
Oh
okay,
my
well,
god.
let me find my kid because you're freaking me out here. Um, yeah, it was
That's
funny.
crazy. Why they make it so difficult? Like fuck.
I don't know, but don't get me started on the transportation fucking shit that goes on here with the photo radars and all the
Yeah.
bullshit fines that made my car so expensive last year. um so Okay, yeah. Okay, so after they were talking about that incident he'd had with the police earlier, and his mom said that one of the officers recognized him because a few weeks earlier he had given, or he said, sorry, that he had given police a statement after he stopped a thief from stealing a woman's wallet. The officer also made the comment that he remembered something about me being gay, Gillern said in his deposition. At that point, I saw everyone in the room, 4 officers, turn and look and smirk. So this was...
Yes, because that's relevant to you saving a woman from having her wallet stolen.
Yeah, I don't even know what this even has to do with the actual case, other than to show that, there was probably some
Yeah, they still
previous...
remembered.
Yeah, like bias, mistreatment, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, to say the least. It said the rough treatment happened after that. I can understand being inept, his mother said, but I can't understand being cruel. So, since returning home, Gillern has turned to help to parents, families, and friends of Lesbians and Gays National, a Washington, D.C. based advocacy group, which has
Oh, I think
asked...
it cut out something.
Oh, sorry.
I think it like glitched. I missed part of that sentence.
No, all good. No, I know sometimes it pauses. I said, his mother said, I can understand being inept, but I can't understand being cruel. And then, since returning home, Gillern has turned to help from parents, families, and friends of Lesbians and Gays National, a Washington, D.C. based advocacy group, which has asked Outfront, the LGBT policy program at Amnesty International USA, to review her son's case, said Steve Rawls, a PFLAG spokesman. There's a lot of acronyms. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
PFLAG? I don't even know what I'm saying. But it's like, okay, this was so sad. Because of the time she spent in Vienna, she lost her job as director of a local SPCA shelter, which is the Society
Aw,
for the
really?
Prevention of Care and like Treatment of Animals, is usually
Yeah.
what it
And
is
she's
in
trying to
America.
help her son's disappearance.
Yeah.
That really sucks.
Well, but the
That doesn't.
fact that she has to like devote her whole life to it now it's so
Yeah, I don't know
crazy.
how you wouldn't. Like, if it happened, oh, I don't know how people don't.
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody just doesn't, like, it would just consume my life. Like, I wouldn't be able to do
Yeah.
anything for a second of any day except focus on it. Like,
True. And that's her only son. Like I think they're, tight knit little family there.
damn.
Uh yeah, like those parts were really pretty sad. They said her 92-year-old mother lives by herself 90 minutes away, but now Catherine Gillern only telephones her because she doesn't want to stray too far from home. So she won't visit her as much, only call her.
Aw.
And she has another son, Ramen. That makes it sound like the noodles. It's ramen or ramen, I don't know. Rahman, who lives in Tennessee, and they have a small circle of friends who have helped Gillern fight her despair. She downloaded Aeryn's cell phone voicemail greeting onto her home computer, and she saved a short video clip from her last visit home, or his last visit home, rather, in September 2007. She's made a rule for herself not to cry during the day, only during the often sleepless nights. I'm up
Oh,
against a
shit.
wall. Yeah,
That's
she
so
said.
depressing.
It's horrible. She said, I just want my son back. That's all. I just want my son back. So, okay, I have another odd occurrence, and then one of the longest parts that I kept trying to find was her letter to the police. So that I have. Sort of. Okay, but this odd bit that I didn't hear about in the podcast I listened to was a little bit more paranormal almost, because in the months following his disappearance, there was an occurrence that spooked his mother a bit. Um, it was a pair of, quote, identical dreams by her other son, Raman, and one of Aeryn's friends at UNIDO. Her eldest son telling them he was, quote, back in August. My younger son called me very upset and said he'd taken a nap and had a dream that Aeryn was being held captive in Turin. Gillern said. Turin is in like Italy.
Okay.
A week later, I was Skyping with one of Aeryn's friends from the UN, and he told me he'd had a dream where Aeryn appeared from someplace that appeared to be someplace in Europe, and said to him, "You have to help me. I'm being held captive." When he asked where Aeryn was, he said, "They're coming. I have to go." And that was the end of it. So that's all there is, and that was just a little scary /
Weird.
creepy. Yeah. I hadn't heard about that on like the podcast or another source, so I was like, oh. When she asked when he'd had the dream, so I guess that was one of Aeryn's friends that had the dream. It turned out to be the same day Raman had dreamt of Aeryn, so same day his brother had a dream. It said, still, she doesn't think anything of it. I haven't had anything like that since then. I've felt a void since the day I got the phone call that he was missing, that he's just not here. I just kind of filed it in the back of my head. If I go there with the possibility my son is alive, I just set myself up for heartbreak, she added. If my son's alive, that's the greatest thing in the world, but if I go there thinking that, it will be too much. I'm not into conspiracies, and I cannot think why someone would be holding him captive.
Yeah.
She's not wrong.
All I can think is like he like saw or heard something that he wasn't supposed to.
True. That's a common one that makes
Yeah.
sense as to why someone would disappear completely, because someone wanted to shut you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the rest of it was just he was trying to transcribe the letter she wrote to the chiefs, like, of police and stuff. But then
okay.
the podcast, the Fresh Hell ladies, said that it was on her website, but then when you click on her website now, or the AerynGillern.com or whatever, it like doesn't exist.
Oh.
So I was like, no. So then I knew they had found it. So I was like, do I have to go back and listen to this podcast and then try and transcribe it? Gordo.
Buddy.
It's okay. All that's left is the letter, and it is long, so I can start it, but we don't have to finish it. I could always finish it on Patreon.
Oh, okay.
They have the full thing on like I said, the podcast I listened to, and I was like, I get it. Like, you want to include the whole thing, and they said that, and I was like, no, it's like, I get it, but it also can be long to read things out loud. And I may have lost my post-it note that had what the investigators' names were. So when I go to transcribe it, and I was like, maybe I can go to their YouTube and just like copy and paste the subtitles or whatever. And I could, and that's kind of how I did find it. But then it would be like Chief Tickle, and I'd be like, oh no, that's not his name. Is it Tickle?
Tickle.
Because subtitles are so bad.
Yeah. I like watching them sometimes and being like, what garbage is this gonna think you're saying?
Oh my god, it was so funny when it got to where it was like, okay, you are the German host, now you pronounce it, and then it like tried to put it in English words, and it was just like not even close. But I will give you guys a taste of what the letter sounds like, because I thought it was pretty scathing, and it was kind of like I was like, good for you, Mom. That was like a mic drop letter. So
nice.
So I don't think his name's Chief Tickle, but whatever it was. Chief Tickle, 12 weeks ago to yesterday, my son disappeared on Wednesday. It will be 12 weeks since I received the phone call that would change my life forever. I'm feeling no less frustrated, anxious, angry, sad, numb, and confused than I was 82 days ago when I first received the call from UNIDO saying that my son was missing. Also, every time I tried to put the acronym UNIDO, it spelled out UNIDO, and I was like, what are they saying? Oh, yeah. Stupid. I will start by apologizing for not writing you earlier to thank you for taking the time to meet with me and listen to my concerns. I felt that you were sincere and not putting on an act for my benefit. You had all the qualities that I had expected from the investigators in your department. Made me feel comfortable with the way that you spoke to me. Your willingness to make eye contact with me and your physical gestures all relayed that you were definitely interested in what I was saying. You showed empathy, which prior to our meeting I had not experienced from your police department, and I feel that you were honest in your responses to me. You never became defensive, but truly listened. I was and remained impressed and grateful to you. Having said that, I am still very angry, shocked, and saddened by the way I was treated by the investigators assigned to the case, especially Mr. Weiss and Lieutenant Heimater. I have avoided writing this for several weeks as I fear my speaking out will hurt the investigation of my son's disappearance by making members of your department angry. After several weeks, I've come to the conclusion that nothing can damage the investigation any more than it already has, and that, as a mother, I have the right to demand justice as well as the moral responsibility to speak out. I was just like, damn.
Yeah.
Since I've been home, I have met with and spoken to numerous law enforcement officials. I have relayed to them the circumstances of my son's disappearance as well as the response, or lack thereof, of the Vienna Police Department. None seem to understand why there has been not more of a push to find out what happened at the Kaiser Brundle that evening, and all are aghast at the way I was treated. They also don't understand why friends, family members, people from his job, or anyone that knew my son were not interviewed. I have also spoken to numerous mental health experts, psychiatrists, psychologists, etc., who have never heard of, quote, spontaneous suicide, end quote, and I don't believe that running naked from a building for numerous blocks and jumping into a river would ever be considered spontaneous. They also don't feel that my son would have been planning for the future, for example, purchasing grocery items, plane tickets, doing laundry dropping off, dry cleaning, etc., if he was planning on committing suicide. They also asked what happened to him at the sauna. I met with and spoke with over 50 of his friends and coworkers while in Vienna, and I have received emails from many others since my return. None of them believed that he committed suicide. I have not heard one single person in Vienna or here in the States who knew my son through his job at UNIDO, or socially through his courses at Webster University, the gym, etc., including his doctor, that say he felt he was depressed, overwhelmed, or suicidal. Not one person, just the opposite. Everyone talks about his love for life, his plans to do more traveling, his plans to work on another master's degree from Webster University, his goals at work, his love of his family. On October 21st, I spoke with him for over an hour on the phone. We talked about my coming to visit him for Christmas holidays, and also about me selling my house and coming to stay with him for a couple of months before I bought a new house on October 27th. We spoke again briefly when I called to update him on the status of selling the house. My son had also spent 10 days visiting me at home in September 2007, during which time he shopped for clothes and shoes to take back to Vienna. While I was in Vienna, I had the opportunity to meet with my son's doctor, Michael Moser? Yeah, this is where I think she had the other one help her with the pronunciation. But he stated that he knew my son very well, had seen him the week prior to his disappearance, and said that my son was not suicidal. He went on to say that my son talked about adding additional courses through Webster University and talked about traveling. In other words, as the doctor put it, my son talked about the future. I stressed this as the investigator's theory for some time was that my son had received bad medical news, and that is why he had run out of the sauna. You may not be aware of this, but in my son's belongings that the investigators had picked up from the Kaiser Brundle on November 1st, 2007, was the lab results from my son's blood work. The lab results were dated October 29th, 2007, the day he disappeared. The lab results were all negative. I have attached a scan of this document. I didn't really explain it earlier, but it was like they kept saying that he got news that he was HIV positive, and that's why he committed suicide, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's refuting that, being like, no, his results were negative. It had nothing to do with that. And like she's given his possessions, and that's when she finds the results and everything. So she's like, okay, whatever they were saying to me was bullshit. And she's sitting on the floor holding her son's clothing and his crucifix that he always wore. So at that meeting, investigator Weiss said that my son had committed suicide because he was, quote, HIV positive, and that my son had received the results the morning he disappeared. Okay, sorry. So like I said, this was relayed to me by Lieutenant Onsdeen. Sorry, it's the YouTube transcript, so it's the phonetic spelling. I thought I had the real spelling. But it wasn't until that evening when I was back at my son's apartment that I was able to go through his belongings, and at that time, I found the lab results that had been with the police for 5 days. Didn't they bother looking through his belongings to see if there were any clues to his disappearance? If you thought that someone committed suicide, wouldn't you look for a suicide note? So they basically, didn't look through his belongings at all.
Yeah.
Just started making shit up. This was also the day, paraphrasing investigator Weiss, decided to deliver the news that my son was, quote, violent. This was after I'd sat on the floor crying uncontrollably while holding my son's belongings and had to be helped to my feet by Lieutenant Ons. Time, as you and I both know, investigator, it's like Onstein. Sorry, I'm not sure the name, has since retracted that by saying he had the wrong information. I cannot get over the insensitivity of this man to tell me something that he, quote, had heard, and especially having sat there and watched me emotionally devastated. She's just like giving it to him as a police officer.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love it. This was intentional and sadistic. I watched the expression of Lieutenant Onstein, and I know that afterwards his demeanor, had changed thanks to investigator Vice Lieutenant Onstein walked out of that meeting believing my son was violent, and I walked out knowing that I would probably never know what happened to my son, as the people I was supposed to be able to trust were not to be trusted and would resort to saying anything to demean the value of my son. Because I had the transcript, I had to keep putting in punctuation.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it just kept running on. The following week, my younger son, Mrs. Radix, and myself met with another investigator. On that day, Lieutenant Highmater sat in on a meeting with an investigator whose name I don't know. Lieutenant Highmater was extremely defensive, yelling at me, asking me why I was uncooperative. This was in response to me asking the UNIDO translator, psychologist Angelica Radix, what the investigator was saying to her. Lieutenant Highmater also yelled at my son and slapped him on the back of his head, not hard, but he had no right to touch my son.
Jesus.
My son said nothing. He had done nothing. No, that said nothing. He had lit a cigarette, which he thought was okay, as the other investigator in the room was smoking. So that's why he slapped him. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Jeez.
As in the 3 meetings that I had with your investigators, also just let me know if you want to cut me off, because this is the whole letter, and I know it's quite long.
How much longer is it?
It's maybe like 3 more pages.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no. It's too long.
Okay.
It's got cool details, but that's too long.
It is. And that's what I'm getting at, is like the way that she was treated was
Yeah.
horrible. So basically, like, to paraphrase, she was like, I've never heard of spontaneous suicide, and then he's like, what kind of police officer were you then? And she was
The
like,
one that's good at their job?
what do you mean? Yeah. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were a parking meter maid, is basically what he said. I was like, oh. And she said, I found that
Yeah.
insulting, but did not react, and simply replied that I've been the head of the neighborhood police unit and blah, blah, blah. So she like claps back and all this. And I'm just like, good for you, girl.
Yeah.
And like, it's just like, if you guys are going to sit there and like say that you can't speak English, but then you're going to sit here and like translate a bunch of shit and like, not translate any of us to English, for me, not cool. And they're like, well, clearly because these 2 text messages don't have the same name from your son, that he is 2 different people and he's cheating on his partner. And she was like, no, he like legally changed his name. Like, I'm sorry, he had 2 different like phones or whatever. It's not a
Oh,
fucking big
weird.
deal.
Okay.
And if she would have questions on like translating the text, she said she reached for the phone and he like slapped her hand away. So they're just like treating them like shit. Anyway, this was a lot of what took me a long time to like, I was trying to like translate the fucking letter because I was just like, oh, I'm so mad on your behalf,
Yeah.
And like, but that's like basically how it goes. And it's just like, this is why there's like a documentary on it now, and it's basically her talking about how the police fucking failed her and how
Okay.
she has no idea what happened to her son, and like that's just it. And it's so
That's
frustrating.
good. Well, hopefully, like,
Yeah.
somebody out there knows something.
Right? That's what that podcast is called. Someone knows something. But yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
fucking have the balls to come forward, or obviously someone's scared, maybe. Because, like, yeah, exactly. If someone knows something, why are they not saying anything? Well, sometimes they wait
The
till
first
the
person I'd
people
be
that are
pushing
involved
is
die.
the fucking manager of that
Sauna?
spa.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't talk about it, or you won't talk about it. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, for you to, like, I'm sorry, if I was at my place of work and
Yeah.
somebody ran out of there and was, like, acting strangely, and then that person
Yeah.
ended up being a missing person, and then, like, their family member came and I was trying to tour them around, I would not be like sobbing my eyes out unless something like traumatic had happened. I'd be like, yeah, here's the change room, here's his locker. I wouldn't be like,
No, you're
oh
not
my
much of a
god,
sobber
wailing on the
anyway,
floor.
but no, I know what you
But no,
mean.
like you wouldn't be wailing on the floor for some
No.
dude that like ran out of your sauna in a towel
Well, and if
and
that's all you saw,
disappeared.
then why are you sitting there being like, oh, oh, it doesn't matter what's happened to your son
Yeah.
here. It's just horrible. Or whatever the
You'd
fuck
be
you
like,
said.
here's the
Like,
locker, any like whatever. You wouldn't have an
yeah.
you know what? Like you wouldn't have an emotional reaction to it,
No, what
really,
kind of emotional
unless
attachment
it was.
should you have? He's a, customer.
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah, and if you saw
Yeah,
something, like, tell the mother. She's sitting there going like, this is my son. You're not going to tell her what you saw? Like, it's so frustrating. It's just like,
yeah. There has to be like something got covered
right?
up. Something big happened that like yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like the I don't know if this one came up when I was looking up, but we covered Lars Mittank, where he,
Yeah,
supposed to fly back
ran
with
out of
his
the airport.
friends. Yeah, runs out of the airport. I mean, yeah, okay, he had something wrong with his ear, but that was it. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I hate these ones. I can't come up with theories other than like something nefarious happened. you know?
Yeah, because that's all it really could be.
Yeah, obviously someone killed you and your body's hidden somewhere. Otherwise, we would have found it by now. Because they dredged the fucking river and blah, 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 even though it took them forever. But yeah, it was just.
I'm surprised they even did that, honestly.
Well, and that's kind of half,
Sounds like they
yeah,
didn't want to
the
do
letter.
anything.
Oh, it was kind of horribly handled, but.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seems like a beautiful city. I get it, Johanna from Fresh Hell podcast. I get you. You love your beautiful city. It does seem lovely. But she was like, "Oh no, you can't
Yeah.
even get in that sauna if you're a woman." Like, no wonder it took them a while to let the mom in to like check things out. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh my god. Crazy.
That was a rough one. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's gonna
Yeah.
stick with me because we don't know what happens. I'm still gonna try and find the documentary called Gone But Not Forgotten or something like that. Possibly by
Oh,
John and
okay.
someone mourning, who I wrote down on a post-it note, but then did not keep the post-it note with me as I came home from work. But it was available to buy on Amazon, so I was like, can we rent it on Amazon Prime? Because I could probably do that.
Yeah. That'd be
Yeah.
interesting. Maybe they have more to
Right.
report on there than.
Yeah. That's just
Damn.
the thing. It's the nightmare that the parents can't get out of when it's your kid that's missing. You're just like, well, that's my life now. I look for my kid.
Yeah, right?
Right? Like I listened to one
Yeah.
where they it was dark poutine, so some of the crimes had happened in Canada, or like it was a person from Newfoundland, and she had met a guy from like Pennsylvania and blah blah blah, like killed him, I think, allegedly. But then the parents of the like murder victim like basically ended up having to move from Pennsylvania to freaking Newfoundland to try and like
Oh, yeah.
take custody of like the granddaughter and like fight for the whole thing. Oh my god, it's like their whole lives uprooted. Like, you know what I mean? These unsolved cases.
Yeah, especially if it happens, like, if somebody's on holidays or in a place you don't
Yeah.
live.
Yeah,
'Cause
then
you
you don't
can't
know if that's on
really.
purpose or just coincidence. You know.
Yeah, like you can't really do anything that far away, so you almost do have to go there, and then because things can move so slowly, you do end up like staying for so long there.
Or just like jurisdiction gets all muddy and stuff. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Anyway. Yeah.
Damn.
You guys can listen to the Fresh Hell one where they did read the whole thing. It was very long and very. I was like, damn! But you get the
Yeah,
gist
that's
where she's
intense.
like, yeah, this is
No,
bullshit.
she
Like,
sounds cool. I like
yeah.
her.
She's like, I know what good police work is, and this is not it.
Yeah, shit. That sucks.
Oh, totally. But anyway, welcome back, guys.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know what we can say in that outro. We don't know what we're doing next week. We have not decided. So,
Not at this point in time, we haven't.
yeah. Surprise! We don't know what we're doing next week.
Oh my god, by
I
the
think
time
that's
this
the first time
airs...
that's ever happened. It's like
Oh, I was just thinking, I'm like, by the time this airs, like, people are gonna be talking to me about it. I'll be like, what? We said, huh?
yeah, exactly. We won't even remember.
No. But who cares? It'll be good. So in the meantime, keep it cryptic.
Yeah. Bye.